Oh, we're on. Okay, so welcome to part 4 of bipolar disorder and the working musician. This is really the wrap up for now, so it'll probably be another couple of years or a year or so till I get back to you, unless I have some requests to continue on. Um, and go back and watch the first 3 episodes if you're just arriving here, because they're really important. I have visiting with you today Caitlin Dibble. Okay, she's my girlfriend. Okay, as a lot of you guys know, this is the first time on video I've addressed this question, but I've dated men in the past and identified as gay. I've now been dating Caitlin how long?
Few years.
Few years. How's it going?
It's going pretty well. Do you identify as gay?
No. Anyway, so actually that's one of the, a lot of people that are bipolar are bisexual or have issues with sexuality, struggling with that. Okay. Anyway, so here she is. You can now see her, and that's. But the real reason I brought her here today is to maybe ask her some questions. This isn't easy for me. I don't like talking about this subject with her, even though like we're really close. It's not something like, you know, you feel weak. Nobody likes to be mentally ill. Those two words together just sound awful. And admitting to it and discussing it with somebody else is hard. But I think that's what's important about her being here today, is so that you can see me actually engaged in this and some of that. So in the first video, I talked to everybody, all you guys, about recognizing bipolar disorder, coming to grips with a diagnosis and accepting it, and then coming to grips with making the decision to take medication, which was really hard for me. I didn't really want to believe that. And then when I tried the medication, so many of them didn't work for me in the beginning that I wanted to give up. And then the one that ended up working, lithium, for a long time, I really hated it. Really hated it, and particularly the way it affected music. Okay, so then in that video I discussed some techniques for practically exploring music, like rather than waiting for creative outbursts of immense imagination and unicorns and rainbows, right?
Yes.
I started working with metronomes and harmony and melody and the basic fundamental scientific building blocks of music, and found some inspiration and a whole lot of improvement in my music through that. So it's funny that with lithium I actually got better in a way at playing music in a different way. I definitely did not write as many songs while I was on lithium, but I think more clearly about music now, but I don't know.
Seemed like you stretched out and exercised different parts of your head because of it.
The hard part was even wanting to sit down to do that. Because there was no real excitement to pick up a harmonica, so it was sort of like going to the gym for me. It was like something I felt like I had to do.
Yeah.
And so I didn't do it as much as I used to. Now that I'm living without medication, which you really should watch the last video before you get excited about that. Now that I'm living without medication, there's times when I just can't wait to play, and that's new to me. Again, that's something that's only been the last year and a half. But that comes with pitfalls, okay? And we're just going to kind of wrap up this video here really quick. So, in the next 10 minutes anyway. I would never, ever, ever advise anybody ever to not try medication under the guidance of a professional, because it can lead remaining unmedicated with a bipolar diagnosis and other mental illness diagnoses too, but I can't talk about those because I don't have them, but I can talk about this, can lead to not only suicidal thoughts, but suicidal tendencies, and in my case, self-mutilation, which you've witnessed firsthand, also relapse on drugs and alcohol and other things. I'm not blaming any relapse on bipolar disorder.
And that can also happen on medication.
And it can also, and I talked about that in the last video a little bit. So that's one of the reasons I have to avoid any and all benzos or any mood altering drug, not mood stabilizing. I don't have to avoid those. It's just we don't know of one that my body is okay with right now. That the side effects are not worse than BPD itself.
Well, it seems like you having an idea of what that middle line is from experiencing it with lithium has led for you to be able to find your way and use that as a touchstone. And I have noticed that when you are, now that you're not taking medication, it is easier for you to connect with how your actions are affecting other people and your energy is affecting other people. And that's a huge positive.
I didn't even know that. So so much of this stuff is like, it's very emotional because it's news to me a lot of the time, and that's hard. It's hard to feel like you're in the dark about anything, and it's really hard to admit that you're in the dark about it, but I'm glad that there are some positives. You know, I talked about some of the negatives. I talked about what it's like now in the last video to experience mania and the steps I use to try to slow down. Now, Kate is a humongous help for me in identifying symptoms of mania. I think sometimes I try to beat you to the punch these days. I try to say I'm manic before you get a chance. Or sometimes I might notice a facial expression or something, or an avoidance tendency, and so then I know.
Of mine or of yours?
Of yours,
oh.
And then I know that I'm feeling it, and then I'll say, "Oh, I'm feeling really manic," and I'll kind of bounce it off of you to see if you say, "Oh no, you're fine," or "Yeah, you are," right? You know. So I don't even know, like I'm bouncing it off, right?
Yeah, and it's always it's a strange thing because sometimes being around somebody when they're manic, it's exciting. There are lots of ideas coming out. You can see there's an electric feeling that is a lot of times very positive and can lead to some wonderful creations. But then there'll be moments where you say something and they go, wait, that's suddenly gets serious, or you fall out of rhythm with the person more easily, and that's kind of what takes me out of really wanting to go manic with you.
Which, by the way, Kate, you know, she's a very creative person. She's a water sign, so she doesn't have manic depression or bipolar disorder or any other mental illness other than she's an artist, which makes her naturally mentally ill. But she's fun, and you're fun to hang out with. And you know, sometimes, like, I'll talk to you, you know, this is something I don't know if I've ever told you before, but so here we go. In front of 13,000 subscribers. Most of which won't make it to this part. Yeah. Sometimes, like, when I'm manic will be, like, the only time I'll actually talk about us and, like, our relationship. And then the irony is that I also, at that time period, display an inability to really listen and take in your kind of take on things. Like, I interrupt and I'm not. Or it's not that I don't care what you think, it's that some part of me thinks I already know what you think, and I can just finish your sentence for you, and it's not important that you give me the input because I'm already getting all the input from you magically.
Yeah, and you're getting a lot of input
from everything. And that's a shame, like, because that's tough. Like, and then I shut down, and then I have nothing to say about anything. Sometimes for a while.
Yeah, and I think you being aware of that and getting a chance to talk to you when you're saying you know what, I just have this urge to keep talking and talking and talking, and I have a feeling that you're feeling something, but I really just don't even feel like I want to hear it right now, allows us to connect in a whole new way, and is a kind of honesty that that is pretty rare in any type of relationship, and it's allowed me to be a lot more brave about saying what I feel, or that what I feel doesn't have to always make sense or be correct or anything like that. It can just be how I feel, and I can share that with somebody that I love, and they can take that.
You're awesome.
You're awesome.
All right. So anyway, we weren't raised by wolves. So here we are. In short, I want to say that whether you're approaching bipolar disorder from an unmedicated point of view, if you choose to not take lithium or Depakote or whatever, you need to be under the supervision of a medical professional, at least at first. And if you are going to choose to approach this from a medicated standpoint, you need to be under the supervision of a medical professional at first. I also want to say too, not just at first, you need to continue to go get your toxicity level for lithium or whatever drug you're taking checked. I was bad about that, and it's a good thing that I did finally go get tested again. So anyway, that's a big thing. That's a big thing. You have to be able to accept help, and it's great to have fellowship and to have somebody in your life that is understanding that you can talk about this stuff with. But not all of us have that. Not all of us have that all the time. You know, something could happen to you, or you could leave, or you could go on a different point in your life, and I have to stay healthy, you know, and you would want that, and everybody would want that for me, and so I can't become overly dependent upon one single source of recovery. It has to be a multifaceted thing.
I mean, both of us have careers where we want to be able to go on the road and be away from one another, and when I'm up in Boston or whatever, doing your breathing exercises, we have Sylvester,
I just go full blown manic when you go to Boston.
Oh, great.
Oh, I just stay up for 2 or 3. I do. I just get wild in here. I have parties, you know what I mean? Not with people, just by myself, and harmonica practicing, and poetry, and readings, and endless how it's made in horror movies.
Well, see, that's the thing, is no matter what Jason's saying with this, how it's made is something that drives me crazy, but calms Jason down.
Yeah, I talked about it in another episode.
So, yes.
I'm tremendously thankful to everybody, and you more than anybody, for all of this, and it's been awesome. It's been an awesome ride, and it's not fun, and lithium was a wonderful substance that I mentioned in another video, ruined my ability to truly enjoy mania, and
I'm thankful for it in that regard, and I think I mean, there are a lot of aspects of lithium that I'm not impressed by, and a lot of the trust that you have to put in medical professionals is a scary thing.
It was really a scary thing.
And I know, and I'm not sure how one can get around it except having somebody outside of the medical community to check on it.
Keep talking.
That there's a big tendency to want to add a medication, and then you find a side effect, and you add another one, and you add another one, until, at least when you were in the hospital, I was having conversations where I said, this is not the person that he is. I feel like you're losing, they're treating one thing to treat another, and slowly standing away the personality, and leaving maybe something angry, something bored, many things, but you really have to keep an eye on that and protect yourself. You know, it's a hard balance.
Hopefully it'll let us upload after 15 minutes, so we might as well just keep going and see what happens. On that subject, I think it's really hard for poor people to get better. Like, it's really hard to find a good shrink or a good nurse practitioner, therapist, support group, whatever, if you don't have any money.
Well, and it's very difficult that with manic and like a lot of times it's with mental disorders, you're not at your most likable when you're at your most in need, and it makes it difficult for people to extend themselves in some respect unless they're very well trained and really understand it.
I agree. It's tough. It's all tough stuff.
But I know I also made a mistake once of thinking going completely natural would be a good idea, and I brought Jason to a doctor who said, maybe you should just let me wave this wand, in a literal sense, let me wave this wand by you. And my Jason was very, very unimpressed by this. I was at my wit's end by this, and my father, who I went back to and said, well, what, you know, it's still natural things. You like vitamins. What would you say? He said, I would have gotten up and walked out right then. For, you know, that's preposterous.
And I did get up and walk out, didn't I?
I think you scolded her a bit, in a very, you know, in a way where you may suddenly realize that you tried to wave a wand in front of someone with too many words. But you come to these different, you know, having Jason leave a place where he told them he was in very deep need of help, and they sent him away with 270 Ativan and 8 other prescriptions.
It was like 172. Oh, was it 270?
270.
Okay.
They gave me a list.
What's wrong with that? Yeah. That's some powerful stuff you're talking about. Anyway, okay, I don't.
You've been through it, and
been through it, and been going through it.
And being honest with people about it and talking about it when you don't have all the answers, and I don't have all the answers, but this is just the status and what we've been going through.
So wait,
it's a wonderful thing.
I got one for you. Okay, so as long as we're just going on above the 15-minute mark and trailing into the nether regions of just chit-chat, how much different is an attempt at a normal life living with bipolar disorder when the person doing it is genuinely staying sober?
It's completely different. It's
night and day.
It
basically, when you're using, is this a fair statement to say, when the person who is bipolar is using anything, including even marijuana, which you've witnessed this, right?
Yes.
Just marijuana,
Yes.
right? It's as if there is no treatment. Is that almost fair to say? No recovery at all, no awareness, or?
Yes, it is. If there's some literal version of cracking up, or some figurative version, I guess that's where that crack starts, and you start to see things crumble and fall away. And it's the difference of being with some, or at least from my experience, somebody honest, and then being with someone where you know they're not telling the truth.
Yeah, but that's just straight
No.
addiction. That doesn't necessarily
Well,
have to do with bipolar disorder.
I guess what I saw with it was that that with the bipolar disorder,
I mean,
that it circulates into something where
marijuana helped at first for a few weeks. Then it stopped. It stopped working really quick.
And became almost more of a compulsion.
Yeah.
Yeah, but being with somebody where what you're doing is wanting to find out about yourself and taking care of yourself makes a huge difference. And I think that's probably true whether you're with somebody who's bipolar or not.
And that's a good note to go out on. So take care of yourselves. Stay in school, kids. Don't do drugs. All right? Be good to yourselves and everyone else, in the immortal words of Jerry Springer. All right? I don't know what else we have here really to offer. We're well over the 20-minute mark. Not even sure this video will upload. Were you about to quote Richard Sherman?
No, Richard Pryor.
Oh, Richard Pryor. Okay.
He says go out there and rub some sunshine on your face.
All right.
I always like that advice.
There you go. All right. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye. Thank you, Kate.